the assignment was to take what's called found footage and make a film out of it. So you just take anything really. I mean, it could have been a TV show, music video, pretty much any any video footage that's already been created. Take that and then do what you want with it, essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'd been thinking about it for a long time about making this film, and it was kind of something I'd just been thinking about over the summer. And I just, it's something like, this film and I have a long history. I'm sure
The Wizard of
most
Oz
people
does?
do.
Yeah.
And I just, there's something about that film that there's a deep underlying darkness, and that's something that I really wanted to get out of it. And so that's kind of why I went for that film.
Well, to me, yeah, it carried that across. I mean, I felt really kind of creeped out looking at it, and I'm thinking, yeah, each of these scenes. I mean, I remember even this little flock of chickens coming out of the foreground on that one. That's like the one scene now that sticks with me. Watching those chickens fly out from the foreground, and I don't know why, but it's got this eerie yellow, thing in the background with the tornado coming in. It's a creepy deal.
Yeah, no, that was a really powerful scene, and I did a lot with the sound on that scene too, and that's kind of accenting the white of the chicken in that beginning of that scene. So,
any particular things that you were trying to do with any of these scenes?
Well, not necessarily, not initially at least.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, what I wanted to get across was this kind of dark underlying feeling, that's really what I was going for. So when I was looking through the film, what I did is I watched the film, and I just, I went through and just took note of scenes that were kind of, I didn't want something super iconic initially, and I was really just looking for those scenes that are kind of there, but you don't, when you see it, you don't think instantly, oh, the Wizard of Oz. It's like these scenes that are kind of just in the background, sort of. But
Toto coming down the mountainside.
Right, exactly. So I just, I went through and found those scenes and put it together, and I knew I wanted to make this like dream-like, feel, and so it just kind of pieced together. And it wasn't necessarily there wasn't no like premeditated storyline or anything like that. It was kind of just what came out of it, and it was. And then I started having these. The beginning and the end scene where the ball comes floating down,
yes.
And that was just like kind of symbolic of going in and out of this dream phase. So
is the last scene, did you have to reverse that? I mean, the motion of her moving looked backward.
It was backwards.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of creepy, kind of disheartening.
Yeah,
ending.
Exactly. And I wanted that. I wanted to feel like she was stuck in Oz and stuck in her nightmare or dream or whatever.
Yeah. When you do this, I mean, when you make a movie, you said this one you'd been thinking about it for a long time before you actually got around to doing it. What's that like? I mean, when you think about it, is it writing on pieces of paper? Is it things that you see in your head? What?
Yeah, it's a little of both. This film was, is premeditated. I mean, I thought about it in my head for a long time, and it was, I think in the middle of the summer, I really was like, okay, this is what I want to make. I want to make this film. So I had it. I didn't say I wouldn't say I had the scenes in my head. I hadn't thought exactly how I want to take apart the film and put it together, but I did have a basic concept of like the general feel that I want to go for. So,
and it's mostly this kind of a reality that you'd enter into. That's kind of this creeped out dream state,
right?
And what happens in that dream state is almost secondary. I mean, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it was, like I said, is this dark feeling that I was wanting to get out of the film. I think that's probably mostly what I was going for. And then as I started creating it, that's when I was like, wow, this dream concept is working really well. And, the whole film itself is about a dream. So
that's right.
That's kind of, it just came together that way, and I think, it worked out really well.
And the sound, is this something you've done work with as well?
Yeah, the sound design is kind of my other, like, aside from film, it's like a whole other realm that I'm very interested in. Okay. And been doing a lot of work with that, with films, and I play a lot of music myself. So,
okay. Yeah, I like the big field of flowers and the strange little bell noises that are going on. And that's another. It's this. It seems like it should be this jolly field of flowers, but it's really sort of eerie, and it shifts on to this red hourglass, and it's like okay. Yeah, that's nice. It was very nice. All right, so influences. Were there any particular influences on how you did this, or?
Yeah, not directly. There was no film I was trying to emulate or anything like that. But I think a lot of really I think the fundamental avant-garde artists that I've learned about through school and just on my own time, I would think probably have come through in this film. Definitely like some Stan Brakhage, of course, and probably a little bit of Bruce Conner as well, who worked a lot with found footage. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it was moving. I mean,
Yeah.
and it was nice
Thanks.
up on the big screen here too with the big sound. And, it was good.
Yeah, no, it was a really good venue for
It was
it.
good. Now, this was an award, and it sounded like in your class the students decided not to. Was that your class that they didn't
Right,
put it?
yeah,
Now,
we
why was
decided
that?
not to vote, and I think it was just, our class got really, we became a really cohesive unit throughout the course.
How many people are in this
I think
class?
it was like 13 or
Okay.
something around there. But yeah, we really bonded as filmmakers, and I think it was just that night was an amazing night, the night that we screened all of our films.
I'll bet.
And it was, pretty emotional, and I think as Phil, our teacher, Phil Solomon said, it was all of our films turned out great, and we really
good.
did an amazing, we had some amazing work this last semester, so I think it was just the emotions were so high, and no one really wanted to pinpoint pick anyone out per se, because we all were kind of on a level playing field, and I think that's probably why we didn't vote.
Yeah. So what? And this was a surprise. Did you know that they were going to? That the faculty was going to pick some films?
Yeah,
and-
although I gotta say, I didn't come here expecting to win an award, and I wasn't sure how they were gonna do it because we didn't vote, so I didn't know
Right.
I knew we had been suggested as films to consider for the award, but I did not come here expecting to win, and so it was very surprising for me.
What's your
Wasn't
sense of having awards or competitions or festivals of this sort?
I mean, it's nice to win, of course.
Yeah.
It's rewarding, and
Yeah.
it's nice to know that your work is going somewhere. But it's a little hard with competition, especially I knew the other filmmakers that were up there very well, and it's always they made amazing films, and it's I try to be humble about it, and I think you have to be
Yeah.
when it comes to awards. So.